strings to hold me down.
Oh, hold your horses there, Pinocchio. Where do you think you're headed?
Leaving school, going to the NBA draft. I'm going to make myself some money and feed poor Geppetto.
Listen here, you're not even a real boy yet. You've only had 1 year at college. Now, come on. I'll walk you back to your dorm.
Not a real boy. I played in the Final Four. I started. Everyone else is making cash off old Pinocchio. Time for me to cash in.
But if you stay in school, you can make your university much richer. I mean, you can learn to be a real boy.
You sound just like my athletic director.
What? Look, I don't know what you're implying, but they didn't hire me to make you believe that staying in school was better than making millions. I lied, Pinocchio. It's bad. The AD's got my family. You can't leave the school. You can't.
Sorry, Jiminy. I'm sick of doing what everyone else wants me to do. Hi, diddle-dee. It's an athlete's life for me.
Hello? Who is this? Mr. Emmert? You leave my family alone. You don't touch them. I swear I'll get him to play. I swear. Just please relax and watch a box score. It starts right now. Hello? Oh, God.
I don't know a lot about sports, but I can drink a lot of beer.
My motto is simple. C's get degrees.
Need a long, inappropriate hug? I'm your man.
I think I'm smarter than you.
Because I probably am.
Howard College for box score.
Hello and welcome to the Box Score. I'm Brock in Los Angeles, joined by the Danettes in Milford, Connecticut. Comedian Jim Norton scheduled to come by the studio today. Now, Fritzy, a couple weeks ago, JB Smoove was having problems finding the studio. Was there any concern that Norton wasn't going to be able to get in there?
There's always concern with anybody, and we've never had Jim Norton in the studio before. He seemed like a reliable guy. Not that JB Smoove wasn't. It was more the driver or PR person with JB. But yeah, there's always that concern someone's gonna get stuck in traffic or sleep late or whatever, or not show up at all or not show up on time. But this time around, it seemed a lot more buttoned up, and the people I were dealing with seemed a lot more competent.
I do have a question. I noticed that Jim Norton, to his credit, his people's credit, showed up at least 45 minutes before his segment. Was there extra time allotted for his arrival, and you asked him to arrive a little earlier because of the painful JB Smoove?
I may have cheated like about 15 minutes or so, not quite
Really?
that early. But you know, I usually talk to the car company, and based on what the pickup point is and where the drop-off point is, they have the experience on about how long it'll take, and they rather the guests get there as we all do.
So we call that JD Smoove spillover. Like what's now, it's changed your booking process, and now people are going to be getting
I'd
here
say
early.
at least in the short term, I would probably cheat it at least 15 minutes, so there's no problems. So even if they're slightly inconvenienced by being here a little earlier than their scheduled time to be on, as opposed
Blame
to
JB.
Yeah, that's how it's going to be the JB Smoove rule,
Right.
as opposed to it being time for the segment and the guest is 20 minutes away.
Smooth move.
Yeah. Hey, Paulie, you said Jim is the master of the awkward moment. Were you concerned about having an awkward moment between him and Dan?
No, I kind of hoped. I like awkward moments. That's kind of the best part of our show. I was kind of hoping there would be some. There's a couple times where I could see Dan's asking a question to Jim, and I see Jim looking at Dan, and he's kind of thinking, where's this guy going? But Jim's a very, very talented, funny guy. He's kind of in that Artie Lang, quick-witted, you can throw almost anything at him, and he'll come back with a great line. You can't hear it there because our mics are closed, but Steve and I were laughing our tails off sometimes during that interview. We're both big fans of Jim Norton, and he did not disappoint.
I was impressed too. He, as you mentioned, like he could really keep the conversation going with Dan. Like he was right. I don't think there was one slip where Dan had one started going off on a really funny but wild tangent. Jim was right there with him.
Yeah, and Dan asked some serious questions about he goes, do you have to be like depressed and angry to be a comedian? He goes, no. He goes, there's some ones that are in a good mood, but then he goes, well, this guy, he's not in a good mood. He's like Max from Cape Fear,
Yeah.
And he rolled with all the
Brian
stories.
Regan.
Brian
Regan. Yeah.
I mean, I see. Norton does a lot of interviews, I'm sure, and he does a lot of radio, and he could easily be one of those guys who just owns it in. But if you're a comedian, you have one time to impress a crowd. If you whiff here, our audience would think nothing but bad of him forever.
Well, yeah, I think the comedian segments sometimes can go a little sideways, but Jim he's a radio guy. He's been doing radio for like 15, 20 years, so he knows how to use his microphone. He understands the importance of keeping a segment going and how to stretch things until you kind of like get your thoughts together or whatever. That goes a long way.
Did you notice something, Seton? He had his headphones on. He had one on left and one kind of off, which you and I do.
That's a common radio thing.
Yeah, you do that more than I do, but it's a common thing. Why do you think a guy on air would do that?
Comfort, I guess. Yeah, I don't really know. He's probably used to it. I really couldn't tell you. I mean, like I do it so I can hear everybody talking in the room, so I know what's going on.
But he wouldn't be in that position.
Well, he
but
might,
it might be a habit.
He might be in his normal day-to-day radio life where he does, 4 or 5 hours a day or something like that. He might, have people talking to him off air.
It's funny because that doesn't fascinate anybody, I'm sure, but it fascinated me.
Yeah.
Because why did he have his mic there, or his headphones there?
Well, it caught our attention. Hey, thankfully, Jim did show up today and had a funny, awkward moment with the boss.
I know you have a problem with hoarders, and if you see, here the man cave, I'm a hoarder.
You're a collector. There's a big difference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you smell good. That's the difference between a hoarder and a collector. It's the smell. You smell clean.
I've taken a shower recently.
Yeah, absolutely. And your
Okay.
stuff is placed discreetly about. I mean, I'm the same as you. I get everything signed. I get boxing gloves signed. I don't know why. It's all signed to me. I'm never going to sell it. But yeah, hoarders are just kind of creepy and gross, and they smell and they're narcissists, and I don't put you in that category at all.
And they don't have good things that they hoard.
No, they don't. This is toilet paper I got in 1975. I don't want to see your toilet paper. And they hoard their own bathroom stuff. They throw it on the steps. They're terrible people. I got a lot of hate mail when I did that bit on television, too, by the way. Oh, you don't understand. Right now you're typing from a pile of garbage. I do understand.
That's so funny.
He's awesome.
I honestly
They're terrible people.
Terrible people.
I was thinking about doing this. I'm the opposite of a hoarder. I don't keep any of this stuff because we live in a very small Brooklyn apartment. I like my wife, and it's not me. My wife says nothing. Nothing comes back anymore from the man cave.
Wow.
None of this like free shoes and I've been embargoed.
I try to save things. It doesn't go well because I don't organize it in a nice fashion. I'll clean out my desk. I'm like, oh, look at this tape of Dan singing karaoke from 2004. I'll put it right back here because I know I won't lose it. It's not very organized.
Yeah.
Well, the awkwardness with Jim didn't stop there. The boss asked Jim about his beef with Sports Talk Radio today.
When we got kicked off the radio on Opie and Anthony, I couldn't listen to comedic stuff. So I was literally riding around just looking at prostitutes every night, listening to Joe Beningo on The Fan. And I love Joe Beningo because he's a real sports guy. You know what I mean? The Jets! He just can't contain how much he hates them when they lose.
What turned you on more? Listening to Joe or driving around looking at
If the Jets lost, Joe did. If the Jets won, it was the young lady, let's pretend, on the corner. And I just, some of the same callers make the same points over and over, and it just got to be awful. And the sound bites, a lot of times the athletes, the sound bites they give are just banal. And so what do you think? Yeah, take it one game at a time, and, we just got to look for the next game and not look beyond. Oh, shut up. Tell me how you really felt about that game.
I love comedians who can make a joke within a joke. Like when Dan asks something, he goes, the pretty young lady at the corner, let's pretend. Like it's like an aside. And Spade does that a lot. It's a little thing that, it takes a talent of years to develop. But Steve and I were talking about it. Some comedians can talk about really off-color stuff a lot, and they get away with it. But if Jerry Seinfeld told a story that he was cruising around for prostitutes when he was off duty, he'd be in the front page of the Post like, oh my gosh. Jim Norton says it. It's like, well, that's how he lives his life on the air. He talks about all the awful stuff that he's done. And
there's just like depravity that people are open with that you're like, man, are they really just being open or is this a bit? Right. And if it was a bit, then why would you go there with, to be that open with sort of certain depths of humanity. As just like, so anyway, that's just what I did. Like, that's just normal life. Like, man, I couldn't imagine.
That's why he's where he is.
Very nice. All right, well, stay tuned. We take a look at a one-time potential power couple in Hollywood.
What's nice about that?
That is nice about that. Okay. You know what powers the box for? Yeah, the Ram 1500 Eco Diesel. Every truck can tow a boat, every truck can climb a hill, every truck can haul a trailer. But not everybody has the most fuel-efficient half-ton truck on the road. Get more facts at ramtrucks.com. Guts, glory, Ram. Welcome back to the box score. McLovin, let's get right to it. Is anyone more tuned in to Hollywood than Dan Patrick is?
No, certainly among my circle or anyone I know, no. The guy reads Us Weekly religiously. He follows both sports blogs and Hollywood blogs.
Not in that order.
And he knows enough people that he can fake his way around the LA scene.
Well, he certainly can. I think the boss may have been a little bit off his game, though, today because he pulled this story out of thin air.
I don't know if I made this up, but I think Helen Mirren used to date Val Kilmer. And there's probably got to be a 30-year age difference between those two. I think Helen Mirren sort of took Val Kilmer under her wings to help him with acting, if that sounds right.
I got nothing on the internet so far.
Oh my gosh. Am I just making something up here?
Or
Or
even
you're
worse.
spilling secrets.
Wait. Yeah, Paul.
There was a kids' animated film called The Prince of Egypt where Val Kilmer was the voice of Moses and God, and she was the voice of the Queen. So they may have worked together in some type of recording
Did they
studio.
date in the cartoon, in the animated? So maybe that's what it was.
We're checking.
Yeah, that was very bizarre. The guys were feverishly Googling any kind of Val Kilmer, Helen Mirren connection. I can't even believe there was that much that they both,
Were you
voiced.
Googling pictures of Helen Mirren just to help out?
Yeah, I was Googling pictures of the vivacious Helen Mirren, but they were actually doing work trying to contribute to the show. I can't believe there was even that connection where they both did some kind of voiceover work for an animated movie, but I hadn't heard anything of that, and there was a very bizarre moment, part of you, that wants to help your host out in that situation and try to find some way to make it true, but we're yet to find any kind of relationship.
I did find that in 2005, Val Kilmer dated Winona Ryder.
Which has nothing to do with it.
But that has got to be the craziest couple in the history of the planet,
Yes.
perhaps? I mean,
That'd be a good time.
2005, Val Kilmer, 2005, Winona Ryder.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey,
Move over, Helen
Paulie,
Mirren.
you're a fan of Helen Mirren, right?
Sure, who wouldn't?
Well, that's interesting you would say that because we went back to the archives and we found out that you had maybe no clue who she was when we were playing Who You Got. Guys, would you rather spend a weekend with Helen Mirren or Jennifer Aniston?
Helen Mirren, I was just watching a 007 movie the other day and she crushed it. She seems like she's a fun time.
Dame Judi Dench or Diane Lane? Paulie, make your case here.
I think I just confused Helen
You
Mirren
did.
and Judi Dench. They're both British and they're both older than me.
I'm gonna be very honest with you. Until you showed that video, I still thought Helen Mirren was in the 007 movie with Daniel Craig. And I still, even though that you showed it to me now, I still right now think
Could
she
you
was in it.
explain to us which one is in the 007 movie?
There was definitely an older, well put together woman who's 007's
I
boss.
think it's Ma'am Judi Dench.
I don't know what that first word you said is.
Oh, what's her like?
Dame
Judi Dench.
Ma'am.
Ma'am, that's what they call the queen.
Ma'am.
They have to call her ma'am in the queen.
I know
That's where I got
less
that
right now. I know less, but I'm sticking by it that Helen Mirren was in the 007 movie somewhere.
Well, who do you
Stand by.
have? Let's ask this again. Who do you got? Helen Mirren or Judi Dench?
For a weekend, for a night, for what? What are you talking about here?
A
For
weekend
Vegas,
in
we're
wine
marrying?
country.
What's going on?
Weekend in wine country.
Wine country. Judi Dench seems like a good time. I don't know much about Helen Mirren, and I still don't know who she is, but Judi Dench. But Dame to me, I guess in England maybe that's a formal term, but in America where I'm from, where I roll, you call someone a dame, that's a compliment. And
Like Frank Sinatra would be.
That's
right.
right.
Sang songs about
that
this
dame
woman.
is a good time up in Sonoma County.
How about you, Fritz? Who do you got in this situation? Helen Mirren or Judi Dench?
I'm gonna go Helen Mirren. Nothing against Judi Dench, but if I could see myself having a good time with Helen if I wasn't married and the opportunity presented itself, I would not have a problem.
Do you think she'd pass, or do you think she'd be?
She would probably pass, but if she would, if she'd wink.
But you're thin now.
I know, but if she'd wink at all my other foibles and issues, whether they be external.
Remember,
or
she hasn't
internal.
seen the show. I'm betting.
Yeah,
you go in with a clean slate.
I know, but before long, there's certain things you can't really.
I don't know.
You can't hide for very long.
When you're looking on the internet and you're researching some of the ex-boyfriends, you're competing with Sir Larry Olivier, John Gielgud was up in there, you know.
Yeah, you could easily pass on me, but
they've
I'm
got
not
Alec
gonna make
Guinness.
that
It's
work.
like, oh, I dated Alec Guinness and Fritzy. No.
Yeah, I don't think I quite make the cut there. Now that you put it in those terms.
I can see him, Obi, Fritz, Kenobi. All right, coming up, the Danettes love their comedians, but how much do they know about their big-time specials? We'll find that out next.
You know what else turns up there?
Welcome back to the Box Score. Jim Norton dropped by the studio today, brought the funny, but didn't do a proper stand-up act today. Seton, will there ever be a day where you set up maybe a microphone out there in the basketball court and they do a 5-minute segment for you guys?
Ooh.
I think that it's more likely that one of us has to do a 5-minute stand-up segment than an actual comic. Right?
Hey,
I mean, like, that would be, I could see that.
No comics are gonna play a room of 4.
No.
That's interesting. Have you guys ever done that or seen that done on a show where a guy does his act like on Jay Leno, like, you know, on the late night show?
Well, most shows, unlike ours, we don't prep the guests in any way.
In any fashion.
Yeah, if you go on Letterman, if Jim Norton went on Letterman, and Dan says this before, Jim Norton would give them 3 stories, David Letterman would have those 3 stories set up on a card, And Jim Norton knows he's being told, we're going to talk about the story where you're on the airplane and the guy smelled good. Next, we're going to talk about when you got off duty and you were cruising for whatever. And so it's not a stand-up act when you're on Letterman or Leno or any of those shows, but it basically is. It's your 3 best stories.
That's why, like, today I came in and, like, Dan makes fun of me when I do it, but I give him, like, 3 or 4 things from, like, one of the bits that they're famous for or one of the things that they do. Because I don't know if Dan spent a lot of time watching Jim Norton stand up.
No. A little setup like
I found, like, 3 or 4 things because then not only it makes Dan seem like he knows what's going on here, but also it puts the guest in something they're familiar with where I know he could do 2 minutes on a footing.
Right, like Seton put up some stuff in the prep about different bits that he's done before, different commentary he's had on sports things, about sports radio, and it gave Dan a couple sure things to go to. It's different than Letterman, but it helped a lot.
All right, we're going to test your knowledge today on some of the greatest stand-up performances of all time and see if you can match them up to the comedian that performed in those. There are steals. It is row versus row. This is how it's going to work. I will give you the name of the performance, such as Notorious C.H.O., and that was Margaret Cho's comedy special. So here it is. First one is for the back row, and this should be an easy one. Live on the Sunset Strip featured which legendary comedian?
That would be Richard Pryor.
That was absolutely Richard Pryor. Very good, gentlemen. To the front
This is
row.
your wheelhouse.
And this should be another easy one. The comedy special, You Are All Diseased, starred who?
All diseased. Chris Rock.
Lewis Black? Doesn't he seems like a guy who would talk about people being diseased?
He said this is an easy one. Lewis Black doesn't seem like.
Oh, how about George Carlin?
Go for it.
How about George Carlin?
Yeah, way to pull that one out of said buttocks. Yeah, it's George Carlin. Very nice.
Fritzy, don't react so strongly. One of your favorite comedians.
That's actually, no joke, that's exactly what brought me there. He was just like, oh, I got this, you got this one, right?
Yeah, when Fritzy said he's got it, Fritzy knows nothing.
Chris Rock, it's
He
George
doesn't know
Carlin.
anything past 1979.
Oh, I got this, you know this one? I got
There's
this
more
one.
than like 2 comedians. There's a lot of comedians.
All right, back to the back row, getting a little tougher. You So Crazy was a stand-up special by which comic?
I got. I love her work.
You So Crazy.
Yeah, who's the one that says that?
Well, let's see. I was thinking they're definitely going to bring up Raw at some point. They're going to do an Eddie Murphy.
Yeah,
Let's
it's not Murphy.
You So Crazy. So
I picture the comedian saying that in a.
I'm picturing Ellen Cleghorn, but I don't remember her.
Oh my God.
Tour de force.
I think it sounds like a female
Do
comedian.
you think so? I thought it was a male
Jake
comedian.
Johansson?
Paula.
Larry Miller.
Need an answer, please.
It's definitely the Paula Poundstone category. No.
Show's ending soon.
You want to take a guess? You know a million of these.
I thought it was a male.
Kathy Griffin.
Okay, we're gonna say Kathy Griffin, which I know it's definitely.
That is incorrect. Front row, you can steal.
That's what I was thinking.
Martin Lawrence.
You are correct, front row. It is Martin Lawrence. One more for the front row. Bring the Pain was a stand-up special that starred which comedian?
Oh, Yeah. Yeah, it could be, right? It's a famous one. I think it's.
Chris Rock.
You are absolutely correct.
I knew that because Fritzy didn't do anything. He actually sat there like this.
I'm giving it
As soon as it said bring the pain, he went like this.
I'm just holding up cards with all the answers.
They're spinning. They're
He
spinning.
did nothing. And he was good.
All right, last one. Last one for the back row. Which comic was the star of Let It Go?
Let it go.
Oh, there's confusion in this room.
Never seen that movie.
You've never seen Frozen, first of all? Oh my God, I'll tell you what happened to it. Let It Go. So this sounds like kind of a witty, neurotic Jewish comedian, a Woody Allen type. Let It Go, man. You can't say that. Richard Lewis, yes.
I know it's.
That's a good guess.
Or, yeah.
All right, we're gonna say Richard Lewis.
Great guess. Wrong. Front row.
Wow.
Let It Go.
Let It Go feels more like to me a Kathy Griffin. What's her name? Joan Rivers.
Oh, that's a good one. Judy Tanaka.
Brock, who do you think it is?
Tenuti.
Judy Tenuti.
I think it's the person I'm looking at here and highlighted in yellow.
Let It Go.
Go with it.
I don't even remember what it was.
Kathy Griffin.
It is Bill Burr. That was the comedian we were looking for.
Oh, it's Bill Burr. Of course it is. Crap.
Damn it. Sorry, Bill.
Front row,
That's the
your
one
last
that's got.
The special
This is
Killing
gonna
Them
sound oddly
Softly
racist.
featured who? Killing Them Softly.
Oh, Dave Chappelle.
Yes, it was. Dave Chappelle.
Nice.
Congratulations. Front row is the funniest row today. So very good.
Yeah.
All right, don't go away. The Danettes are saying
pissed about
goodbye
the Bill
to one of
Burr
the
one.
backroom guys. How's that guy escaping Milford? It's got to be with a Ram Heavy Duty if he's going to throw all his stuff in the back and haul a little ass. Get out of there. With its best-in-class towing, torque, and horsepower. Any of the backroom guys can find freedom and take all their possessions with them. Guts, glory, Ram.
Hi, I'm Nick. I work as a cameraman here at the Dan Patrick Show. Dan and the Danettes treat me pretty well. And know I work my ass off for the show. Except for McLovin. I mean, the guy thinks I'm his personal assistant. Every day it's, Nick, can you go grab my dry cleaning for me? Nick, can you go pull my car on for me? Nick, can you go down to the C's and grab me a Diet Coke? And easy on the ice cubes. One time, I swear, he called me over to his desk, looked me straight in the eye, knocked over his coffee, it spilled everywhere, and he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, can you pick that up?" It's obvious that all this fame has gone to his head, and I'm sick of it. I'm done.
Hey, Nick, get up here. Spill in aisle 3. Hurry up.
Yep, I'll be right there.
We are closing up shop here at the Box Score Saloon. Guys, Nick, the cameraman, is on his way out of town. I guess it's just from all the abuse from McLovin. Speaking of, McLovin, who's going to clean up all your spills now?
I thought, wasn't there a rumor that Brock was coming out east to be the spill cleaner up there?
It's a trade. Nick may be hosting the box score next week, but we don't have anything definitive.
Oh, shoot.
By the way, I'm shocked that Trash Talk segment didn't take off after that.
I think that we didn't give Trash Talk enough time.
I would have liked
because
to see
Trash
more of
Talk
those.
really should have been
Like early Seinfeld, where it had to get its legs.
Right.
Did we do a second one? We did, right?
I think there was a few of them.
Yeah, there was a few, but I think it got to be too many cooks in the kitchen on Trash Talk, and it really lost its sort of focus, its direction.
It got a little corporate.
The ratings went down after the first one. You know, we did a lot of marketing for the first one.
Yeah, but Nick, we're gonna miss our boy Nick.
Hey, Paulie, can you name one task that Nick did besides operating the camera?
I got it.
Oh, that was.
Well, his most important task.
He used to be lunch producer for years, and he was the first and only and greatest lunch producer. And he really knew what he was doing.
Senior lunch coordinator.
He was, promoted to senior lunch coordinator. So I think that's the skill that's really gonna.
But then he started mailing in everything. The day he found out he was allowed to move to LA.
Oh, he moved to LA in his head 6 weeks ago.
Lunch has never been more chaotic, actually. It's like
Right.
every man for himself, like just people making secret calls. You're like, what the hell happened? We used to be like all in, like, hey, what are we doing for lunch?
But
And now
Brock,
it's-
Nick did have a real thing. When he was only here a few months, he made these pictures for us that he had shot with his friend Casey. And they were disturbingly funny, or funny and disturbing. And he gave them to us as presents with a straight face. And to this day, it's one of the more uncomfortable, fun moments of my life, because they're very risque photos of a young man in sports outfits given to his coworkers in a place of business, which is, wrong on numerous human resources levels.
And he expected them to crush, like it was gonna get this like huge reaction from the room. And nobody said anything. Like, we opened them and just sort of looked around at each other like, what the hell is going
Why
on
did you
here?
think this would
What
happen?
is this guy doing? And
Legendary.
and Nick just sort of sat there with this awkward smile.
But that being said, it's
Okay, I'm
cemented-
gonna go back. I'm gonna go in the back.
It cemented a somewhat of a legendary status where he was unfireable, because what could possibly happen with this young man who's all haphazard?
The legend.
Well, I guess that shall be our lasting image of Nick in a small pond of golf balls. How about that? Let's wave goodbye as Fritzy tells us who's on next week.
Chris Collinsworth will join us Monday, NBC.
George
Sunday
Foreman's
Night
son will be
Football.
joining us?
George Foreman's son will not be joining us. We thought George Foreman, the actual George Foreman, was joining us, and then I received word that there was a little Roman numeral 3 attached to that George Foreman Jr., one of his boxing sons, was actually being pitched, so that will not be happening. We may hear from Kevin White of Patrick O'Connor's West Virginia Mountaineers wide receiver to talk about the draft. Reggie Miller will join us next week, and we'll have some other surprises as well.
Kevin White's cousin is coming on.
Yeah, he's an accountant who lives in Crumwell.
He's a good accountant.
Very good. All right, thank you, gentlemen. We're back on Monday on Audience Channel 239 right here on DirecTV. The podcast is available on iTunes or at podcast1.com. Cheers, Nick. Safe travels, buddy.
I don't know a lot about sports, but I can drink a lot of beer.
My motto is simple. C's get degrees.
Need a long, inappropriate hug? I'm your man.
I think I'm smarter than you, because I probably am.
Hey, thanks for watching the box score. Holy cow!